Madam Secretary, welcome to the committee. As you know, President Biden recently wrote in Wall Street Journal op-ed that tackling inflation is the, quote, top economic priority. And I think that's a welcome development for the President to acknowledge that inflation is a problem. It wasn't that long ago that President Biden and his top economic officials were claiming the extraordinary increase in Americans' cost of living was merely transitory. I know you've responded to some questions on this subject already, but do you still view inflation, which remains near a 40-year high, as transitory, or do you expect an extended period of raised inflation?
Well, when I said that inflation would be transitory, what I was not anticipating was a scenario in which we would end up contending with multiple variants of COVID that would be scrambling our economy and global supply chains, and I was not envisioning impacts on food and energy prices we've seen from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So as Chair Powell indicated himself, both of us probably could have used a better term than transitory. There's no question that we have huge inflation pressures, that inflation is really our top economic problem at this point, and that it's critical that we address it. So I do expect inflation to remain high, although I very much hope that it will be coming down now.
And the President's budget on that point projects inflation at 4.7% for 2022, which seems to be an entirely unrealistic assumption given that inflation in the first half this year has been well above that rate. Has the administration's 4.7% inflation assumption proved accurate for 2022, or should that number be revised higher?
Well, we're in the process of producing a new forecast for the mid-session review. The numbers aren't locked in, but it's likely to be higher.
Well, hopefully we won't have to wait long for that, right? I mean, when does that review come out?
I'm not sure what the date is.
Let me just say, too, there's a couple things that the President obviously has suggested, that the inflationary numbers are a result of Ukraine. And clearly, if you look at the CPI inflation data, it was largely collected before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Was the President wrong to blame the pre-existing inflation on the Russian invasion of Ukraine? And do you think that it is at all attributable to the overheated economy that was accelerated by last year's $1.9 trillion partisan spending bill?
Look, when President Biden took office, the United States faced a really horrendous problem in that it was projected that unemployment would stay extremely high for many years. CBO projected unemployment in excess of 9%. And he had to decide what's an appropriate policy to address what all of us thought at that time was the greatest risk facing our country, which is that we were seeing cars line up at food banks, people going hungry, people beginning to lose the roofs over their heads, worried that they wouldn't be able to get jobs, and that we would have a generation that was scarred by high unemployment. And we put in place and designed a program in the ARP that not only was intended to address those risks, but succeeded in doing so better than anyone could have anticipated. Right now, we have about the lowest unemployment rate we've had in post-war history. In recent Federal Reserve survey, more households than ever have described their financial situation as strong. In a question about could you manage to pay an unexpected $400 expense, A record of people since that survey started said they could. So we've accomplished a lot. We have the fastest recovery of any developed country. There's no question that inflation is too high and it has to be addressed, but we're starting to do that from a situation of strength. And of course, it's important to bring inflation down.
Mr. Chairman, my time has expired, but I would just say the economic crisis American people are feeling right now is this extraordinarily high inflation rate, which, again, to the degree that there may have been jobs created and wage increases completely eaten up. I mean, the American people are getting a de facto pay cut because of inflation, and it just doesn't seem like, and gas prices contributing largely to that. And I see no strategy out of the administration to do anything to deal with rising gas prices. And I think that there's no question that the $2 trillion bill last year overheated the economy, and it's why we have the mess that we have today. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you, Senator.